Hi everyone, this is Prashant Konkal working as an assistant professor in SG College. Today I'm going to explain about neuron structure and functions. Look at the picture of a tropical cone snail. Is a both beautiful and dangerous. A carnivore, this marine snail hunts, kills and dines on fish. Injecting venom with a hollow harpoon part of its mouth, the cone snail paralyzes its free-swimming prey in seconds. The venom is so deadly that unlucky scuba divers have died from just a single injection. What makes cone snail venom so fast acting and lethal? The answer is a mixture of molecules that disable neurons, the nerve cells that transfer information within the body, because the venom almost instantaneously disrupts neuronal control of locomotion and respiration. An animal attacked by cone snail can neither defend itself nor escape. Communication by neurons largely consists of long-distance electrical signals and short-distance chemical signals. The specialized structure of neurons allow them to use pulses of electrical currents to receive, transmit, and regulate the flow of information over long distances within the body. In transferring information from one cell to another, neurons often rely on chemical signals that act over very short distances. The cone snail's venom is particularly potent because it interferes with both electrical and chemical signaling by neurons. Functions of the nervous system consist sensory functions, integrative functions, and motor functions. Sensory receptors that detect internal stimuli as well as external stimuli. For instance, of internal stimuli is blood increase in blood acidity and blood pressure, etc. For example of external stimuli, a raindrop landing on your arm or any other stimulus. When this information is immediately passed to the brain, where integration occurs, where analysis and interpretation takes place. And once after aptly decision takes place, elicit action through the motor neurons to the air at the target place of the body. Information processing by nervous system occurs in three stages: sensory input, integration, and motor output. In many animals, the neurons that carry out integration are organized in a central nervous system, which includes the brain and a longitudinal nerve cord. The neurons that carry information into and out of the central nervous system constitute the peripheral nervous system. When bundled together, such neurons forms nerve. For instance, if we have a feeling of thirsty, immediately the sensory neurons send a signals to the interneurons where residing in the brains and spinal cord. Appropriate decision takes place, elicit through the motor neurons. The motor neurons activates or triggers the muscles to pick up the glass of water to have a water. Look at the picture. Summary of information processing. This is a sensory neurons, interneurons, and efferent neurons. Sensory neurons consist sensory receptors which receives the signals and sends information towards the interneurons. And this is an axon iliac, site of initiation of action potential. Action potential means it is an electrical signal that propagates or travels along the surface of the membrane of a neuron. So due to the movement of ions, and when it reaches the interneurons, an appropriate actions takes place, and it further sends information to the efferent neurons. Efferent neurons carries the information away from the interneurons, and when it reaches the target parts of the body, action has been elicited. Now come to the structure of neuron. Neuron consists a cell body, dendrites and axon. Cell body consists a branched structures called dendrites, and these dendrites are also receives information from the another neurons. Neuronal cell bodies contain free ribosomes and prominent clusters of rough endoplasmic reticulum termed nasal bodies. The newly synthesized proteins produced by nasal bodies are used to replace cellular components, material for growth of neurons, and to regenerate damaged axons in the PNS, that is peripheral nervous system. The cytoskeleton includes both neurofibrils composed of bundles of intermediate filaments that provide the cell shape and support, and microtubules which assist in moving materials between the cell body and axons. Many neurons also contain lipofuscin, a pigment that occurs as a clumps of yellowish brown granules in the cytoplasm. It is a product of neuronal lysosomes that accumulates as the neuron ages. The single axon of a neuron propagates nerve impulses towards another neurons. An axon is a long, thin, cylindrical projection that often joins the cell body at a cone-shaped elevation called axon hillock. The most neurons' nerve impulses arise at the junction of axon hillock and the initial segment, an area called the trigger zone, from which they travel along the axon to their destination. Mitochondria, which provides energy to the neurons by producing ATP. The cytoplasm of an axon, called axoplasm, is surrounded by a plasma membrane known as axolemma. Lemma means sheath or husk. The end of axon dividing fine structure called telodendria. The site of communication between the two neurons or between the neurons and an effector cell is called synapse. The tips of the axon terminals swell into bulb-shaped structures called synaptic end bulbs. Others exhibit string of swollen bumps called varicocytes. Synaptic end bulbs plus varicocytes contain many tiny membrane enclosed sacs called synaptic vesicles that store chemical neurotransmitters. The longest axons are almost as long as person is tall, extending from the toes to the lowest part of the brain. Here, there are two types of cells are there, Schwann cells and oligodendrocytes. Schwann cells wraps the myelin sheath around the axon, and Schwann cells only one axon, it